Morning, everybody. Thought I'd do a quick video. Yeah, I jumped the gun again, and yeah, get started early. I always do that. I can't wait, like a kid at Christmas. But then again, same question: Why me? Why me? I just don't understand. Why me? And I don't mean that in a bad way. When I say why me, why? And a lot of things, I'm glad me. I'm glad it was me and not somebody else. You know, that's one of them deals where you just don't know. You never know. And it's hard to get your day started when you don't have your snuff. I'll be right back. 7, do the video for me. Oh, it just seems like I'm all together when I'm not. As usual, I remembered first thing, put the link in the chat. But yeah, why me? Why? Well, yesterday I had my virtual meeting with my new cannabis doctor. I know it's weird to say that, but it's true. It's true. And I looked up the all the products, and I ordered me some tincture and some gummies. But what's cool is this the real deal? As far as I know. And I was gonna pull up the site, and we'll take a look at their medicines. And yeah, let me share the screen here real quick. We'll take a look at the products available. There it is. I got one of these, and I got one of these, a 1-to-1, and it's supposed to be the real deal. See, it says THC. Yeah, THC only. So, and it doesn't say THC 7, 8, 9. They don't split it. You know. So yeah, there's that. I'm on, and it gets delivered here from Houston. Yeah, from Houston, and they'll deliver it on the 5th. Yeah, I can't get it till the 5th. Now, I think I could drive over to Houston and find these people and get it that way sooner. I don't know if I want to drive to Houston and do all that. Just don't. But yeah, the same old question. Why me? Well, if not me, who? If not a Christian, who? Who do we turn to? We got version of the day with you guys. If this stuff works, I may be able to back off on that. Because I'd rather do tincture and get my results than have to sit here and smoke. Honestly. Honestly, I would. I'd rather just take a couple of drops. Yeah, it's awful cumbersome having to carry your pop with you and all your paraphernalia, and it'd be nice. But now I got me some gummies and I got me some tincture coming. And talking with my Dr. Brimberry. Sounds like something out of Harry Potter, right? Don't eat the brimberries. But yeah, after talking to him, morning, Alex. But after talking to him, he's like, "How much do you smoke every day?" And I said, I was gonna weigh it out. On a bad day, maybe up to 3 grams. Most days, 1.5 grams, 2 grams. He knows what he's talking about. This guy starts doing the math. He's like, "Man, you hitting that thing?" I told him I use a one. He said, "You hitting that thing every 2 or 3 minutes?" I said, I'm not necessarily every 2 or 3 minutes. I said, but I'll hit 2 or 3 in a row and put it away. And a little bit later, hit another couple. I don't know, really. He's like, well, he says, with this product, he says, you're gonna have to take a little bigger dose. He said, you do the math. He said, that's about 3 blunts a day. And I said, yeah, over the course of the day, I get up 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 every morning. Start then. By the time I go to bed, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, 3 blunts. And he's like, oh, okay. So he scrubbed me up. He better been nice for $210 for 10 minutes on a video call. That's a scam, man. Wow. That's a scam. I guess they figured, well, if I don't have to pay gas, I don't have to put in the time to drive, I can just give them that money. Yeah, I'll just give them that money. They've made it so easy for me now. I don't have to buy gas, so give that money to them. I didn't have to put wear and tear on my vehicle. Give that money to them. But I'm going to submit. He sent me a receipt, so I'm going to submit it to my insurance flexible spending account because they don't know it's just a receipt from a doctor, and so I can turn it in. But insurance doesn't pay for any of this crap. Oh, by the way, if y'all didn't notice, did I say the links in the chat? If anybody got any news, anything they want to share, news on the Ella front, she did email me. She emailed me the other day, and all is well. She's just been taking that big step back, like everybody needs to do now and then. She just spending time with her family. I believe she said her parents are having some issues, cardiac wise, but they're okay. Son's having a few issues, but we, those of us who know Ella know she's a daily job being a parent. And she said she's trying to stay out in nature and taking her parents and her son and being in the bush, as they say, away from it all the technology, all the political correctness. It's refreshing. I'm glad I heard from her. I was seriously starting to wonder what's going on. Have y'all seen there's another a video out from Australia. It's a young guy, supposedly in the CV camps, and I don't know if it's Australians, that neither one of the two videos I've seen, the lady and now this guy, seem really all that upset to be in the position they're in. They've both been pretty like, well, it's here we are. I have to stay here, and they won't let me leave. But there was somebody staying over there, and they kicked them out because they were being I don't remember what all he was talking about, but they just don't seem like, get me out of here. This is bullshit, man. I'm in here, and this ain't cool, man. Nobody's upset. They just don't seem upset. They just don't seem too affected by it. But, these younger generations, they've been totally programmed from in utero. In utero. They've been programmed, so I'm not surprised. Oh, I learned something the other day that I had no idea. It was crazy. It was just crazy. Where is it? Let me see. I think I saved the video. That's not it. Yeah, there we go. I got it. I learned something the other day that I really had no idea. And it kind of freaked me out. Now this dam is a sign. Right here I wanted to show you, because this was about the 10, like the biggest dams, most powerful dams in the world. But they say something here about this dam in China. I just find it hard to believe these people would say things like this. Now listen to this. This is crazy.
Dam holds back so much water, almost 40 trillion gallons. NASA estimates that it slows the rotation of the Earth by 0.06 microseconds every year.
Did you hear that? NASA says that this dam slows down the rotation of the Earth 0.5 something. Let's listen to that again, because it's just wow.
$1.7 billion. The dam wall is 1.4 miles long and 594 feet tall. Behind it has a surface area of 419 square miles. The dam holds back so much water, almost 40 trillion gallons. NASA estimates that it slows the rotation of the Earth by 0.06 microseconds every year. The Three Gorges.
That's ludicrous. That's just crazy. They want us to believe that somewhere on this realm we can gather some water and it'll change the rotation of the Earth because we gathered it in this spot. Now it changed it. Changed the rotation of the Earth. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, that takes a lot of faith. That's a religion right there. That's a religion. You got to have a lot of faith to believe that kind of stuff, man. I don't care who you are. And then another thing I did not know, and that I know that's an extensive list, but it's just where is the deal? Oh, there it is. Okay, this the thing about electricity and frequency, and something I did not know. I'm just gonna fast forward through this thing to the chart here. No, not that one yet. We'll get there. Right there. He's even saying it.
To mild weather or at night when people are asleep, we need generators to shut down. Otherwise,
okay, we'll get to it here in just a second. It's got to run an ad. But this was crazy. I had no idea. I never realized this.
Frequency of the AC power will
right there. AC power will speed up above 60 hertz. Now, he goes on to say here in a few minutes about how the power grid works on 60 hertz. If it goes below 60 hertz, power stations start tripping offline.
speed up above 60 hertz. When demand spikes, we need generators spun up to match it. Otherwise, the extra load will bog down the physical generators and the frequency of the AC power will fall below 60 hertz. The consequences of the AC frequency deviating by too much are massive because every generator in the entire system is magnetically coupled. If parts of the system lose synchronization, both generators and equipment connected to the grid can tear themselves apart. Because of that,
do you hear that? I never knew that all these power stations are connected magnetically and they run on 60 hertz. He's got another good chart in there later on where he shows when it drops below 60 hertz, and he says it mean a whole lot, just like with the 432 versus 440. That's only 8 hertz and it makes all the difference. Well, this, if you go down to like, I think he said 5.3 or 4 hertz, 5.2 or 3 hertz, not even below 5 hertz, boom, 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 they start dropping offline. Man made it. Oh, Jack can slow down the Lord's appointed creation. A man made it. Doggum. You're the best, Ashley. Well, you don't have to type. You can click on the link and come in. Right. But I just thought that was crazy when it says it in the first of the video and it says it there at the end. I caught it in the first and I started watching that deal about those dams. And it says it again at the end. And the Three Gorges Dam in China, the largest, and NASA says it changes the rotation of the Earth. Are you kidding me? That just, wow. That is so unintelligent of a statement that I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they would put that in a documentary. There's no possible way on earth they could ever prove that. It's just like the whole spherical thing. They can't prove it. They just go, here's the math. Alan did one of his deals on a lot of that the other day. And one of the reasons many flat earthers have shown that all those numbers that they give for everything, it's based on their model, their spherical model. So you can take that down to smaller numbers. You can take it down to, like they've done, 1,200 miles to the moon, maybe 1,500 to the sun, right? With that same math. So they do these huge numbers. So they intimidate you. So they're like, look, it's math. Okay, cool, Ash. It's math. You have to be pretty smart to do this. So I know you don't understand. Just trust me. Just trust me. I've got this. Good morning, Ashley.
How are you? Good morning. Oh, finer and frog hair. What about yourself?
I am taking names and kicking ass.
Oh yeah.
I'm not playing.
I'm glad yeah. Are you gonna kick their butt right into place?
I am. I'm not playing around anymore.
That's it.
Yeah. But how does the movie trailer guy say it? He's back and he's pissed.
Right. Well, it comes along with the job, being a believer and you can only take so much.
Think about that statement on that dam that they're telling us NASA has said. That is stupid.
It's like they want to put, I couldn't type enough, so I had to get on here. My phone's totally trying to die, but it's on charger, so maybe it'll work out for us. Tick, tick. So, man, like they put these little incy bincy bitty pieces in these History Channel documentaries and these Discovery Channel stuff, just the smallest, tiniest little thing of lies.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, dude, it's like when our ears hear that, it's strong. It keeps that delusion in there so thick.
Oh yeah. Hey, hush. It always strikes me that, okay, they're in a room, they're doing all this about this documentary, and some guy goes, and we're gonna put this in there. NASA said, it changes the spin of the Earth every year, and everybody looked around and went, okay, let's put that in there. That's pretty good.
Right, because he's the boss. He knows what he's talking about.
And NASA said, would you
right, NASA's important.
Stop.
NASA is important, and we should be listening to NASA because NASA is man, and NASA knows. NASA knows.
And the thing that still gets me is people still ask, why would they lie? There's Alan. Morning, Alan.
Well, good morning, Alan.
You're up early.
The thing is they lie because, people say the same thing to me. Well, why would they do that, Ashley? Well, one, because the word of God says that these things are going to happen to us. We're going to have ones that are going to come against us. They're persecuting us purposely. They conspire to wipe off the remembrance of our name. That's Psalms somewhere. I think it's Psalms 96 actually, but they conspire to wipe our name out of remembrance, and so of course they have to feed us. We are made up of the earth. We were made from the dust of the earth. Yeah. So of course Satan's going to make, he don't just hate us. He hates the whole creation. It's not just us. He wants to kill everything, And so, of course, he's going to lie to us if the word is written on our heart and we are to know, and people used to know, I believe they used to know because they read the word of God themselves, that the earth didn't move, that it was fixed, immovable, sitting on pillars. The sun and the moon and stars moved around us. Joshua asked the Lord to stop the sun and the moon and the stars, so they moved around us. So people knew these things and it was written on their heart, and the vibration of the water inside their body was right. And now, because we think the earth moves and people are upside down on the other side of the world, Earth and world are two different things.
But so many people don't get that concept of what they're telling us. If an airplane takes off right here, and they're going to do that, at some point they're going to be flying upside down. And that people just don't get that. It just they're like, no, I'll never be upside down because of whatever. But one of the things I've noticed they're really saying is right now they're really pushing this narrative of, hey, look, people used to think the earth was flat, but we've learned since then. We know better now. They're really pushing that. I've heard that phrase a lot. People used to think it was flat, but we've learned now.
We've learned now.
Yes, dear, I'll put your coffee on. I got to put coffee on for Mama real quick.
That's right. You do what you got to do for your lady.
But you go ahead. You go ahead, pontificate. I'll be right back.
Well, I just think it's the sweetest thing ever that he's fixing his lady some coffee. It's nice to serve one another. We're supposed to do that in love and gentleness, and I think that's really sweet that he got up and did it in a gentle way. Yeah, it's how we're supposed to be.
Well, thank you. I would have done it, but Alan is running his right now, so I'll make Alan make hers.
That's right.
Oh, and last night, speaking of the home front and Mama, she had been talking about forever, ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. She wanted to go to the Daytona 500. So we, about a month ago, we started looking at packages and stuff and all that. And she's just like, I don't want to pay that. I don't want to do that. That's too much. And I'm like, We only live once. You know, and we can afford it. You got to do it now. You know, that's just what life's for. It's just called living. We got to do it. We got to do it. And she's like, no, not going to do it. Well, yesterday she comes bebopping in going, we're doing it. We're going. So she gets online, pulls up that same website, goes to pick a package. Well, they've gone up $2,000 since she looked last. And I'm like,
bless her.
I told you. And she bit the bullet. I went, that month wait cost you. Hit enter. Hit it. $2,000 cost you.
Yeah.
Just waiting. That's what it cost you. But she ordered them. She's like, that's it. We're going. We're going to Daytona.
Good for her, you know, realizing it and don't regret the spending the money, you know, because money comes and goes, just like everything else. Everything comes and goes. It's all just a vapor in the
I don't
wind.
know why you do that. We can afford it. And you're like, well, no, I don't want to spend. I don't want to do that right now. Why? Why?
Right.
You old Jew? I call her that. He's an old Jew, man.
Not this time, though.
Yeah, she finally said, okay, I got to do it. I told her physically, you know, in a few more years, we're not going to be able to go to someplace like that and do that and sit through a 2-hour, 3-hour race. We're not going to be able to do it. It's just physically going to be, you know, too hard. We're not going to be interested in it. It's not going to be worth it. I said, but right now, we can do it. And so, yay, we're going to Daytona.
I'm so excited for y'all. I'm just excited that you're able to do something that has been on your heart for a while to do together.
Well, I told her, I said, you need to start, we're going to start knocking off your bucket list stuff. There's no reason not to.
Stuff. Yeah, what's next on the list?
Oh, okay. You didn't start Kathy's coffee.
You can tell it.
I got to start Kathy's coffee.
Is Ashley still there?
Alan.
Ashley, I played about 5 minutes of you on my show last night.
You did.
Yeah, from when you and Tommy were wrapping up. I thought that show that you guys did, One Took Over the Line yesterday, was so good. I played like the last 15 minutes of it because you guys were both spouting off some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, well, praise Jesus. Thank you, brother. Well, it's all the Holy Spirit. You're precious.
It was a great show last night, Randy. I reread some stuff that Randy wrote and just it blew my mind. I totally underappreciated it last year.
Yeah. Oh, right on. Randy's sweet man. I'd like to get in touch with him. Just listening to his stuff because Randy seems like a really cool cat. You know,
Randy's
someone that's down to earth.
He didn't do anything without getting caught by his wife.
Yesterday was so funny. I go out and Alan's talking to Randy. And the only part of the conversation I catch is I hear Alan says, well, where's Joan? And he goes, oh, she ought to be popping in here in about 2 hours. And it wasn't 5 seconds. And she's home. He hears, who you talking to? And it's his wife. She popped in on him right then. And he's like, I got to go. And I was like, yeah, you better go. See ya. And I told Alan, I said, you know, she probably would have rather come in on him laying naked in the floor with the neighbor lady than talking on the phone to you.
Right.
That probably bothered her more than if she'd have caught him cheating. She wore his butt out after that, I bet. I leave her there too. And what do? Nothing but hang out with Alan. But
man, Alan will get you in some wormholes, but they're good wormholes. They're good. They're good conversation. You know, the Lord says, "Be ye holy, for I am holy," and He's talking about your conversation.
Right.
It's not anything to do with your looks or you know what you drive or what you live in or what kind of job you got or how many times you go to church. It literally means your conversation. The Bible verse above it and below it, and man. That's what we're supposed to do, have fruitful conversations, not like disrespectful conversations, vanity, talking about nothing, you know, like good conversation. Yeah, stuff that seems to matter. You know what I mean, Vern? To us.
Well, not empty conversation, not malicious, not, you know, exactly what you're saying is Hi, babe. You hear your coffee? Ruger's in here because Alan's out in the garage. And Ruger's just hanging with us. You're such a pretty boy, Ruger. Man, that's a good German Shepherd.
Oh, that's
Alan, you gotta
awesome.
turn that down out there. You're echoing on me.
Hey,
Yeah, he's out in the garage and turned on his computer, and I can hear the speaker back there. But
man,
no,
we're gonna have to come see y'all. We're gonna have to come see y'all when we get this bus. Y'all are gonna be one of our stops.
man. There's Alan. He's jumping on. Hey, Alan.
Hello, hello.
What-
That'll be great.
What's
Turn
up,
that thing
brother?
down a little bit back there. You're echoing to me real bad.
Okay.
It's just weird.
Mm,
But
no echo now.
That ought to be pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
Yeah, I just mostly want to listen anyway.
No,
You're doing a fine job.
let me I wanted to show some more of this one video. Let me share this real quick and we'll look at this video. But that was just when I heard about that cycles and the hertz on
Yeah.
on our power grid, I actually never knew that. I did not know the way that power grid worked on cycles. I just had no idea. Whereas he's got a real good
All
chart.
connected, man. I knew it was all connected. It's like a freaking, oh my goodness, a piece of the puzzle after years of research. Amazing. Thank you. Anyway, go ahead.
Unlock a better way to wellness with Blue Apron.
We gotta go through a stupid commercial, but
Is this Grady? Is this guy's
Grady?
name Grady?
I'm not sure. It's Practical Engineering's the website.
He's a do-it-yourself practical engineer.
Portfolio of power generators.
So here's Texas's power grid. This is how we're broke up. And I don't believe this solar, and I don't believe this wind is 28%. I just find that very hard to believe. And that solar's 5%. But this is our power grid makeup.
The largest segment of that is natural gas, making up about half of the capacity. The second segment is wind turbines at about 30%. The rest of the generation fleet is made up of coal-powered plants, nuclear plants, and solar farms. This graph shows the outages of each generation type during the winter storm. You can see that wind and natural gas make up the majority of the lost capacity, but no type of power plant was spared during the storm.
They're down here at the bottom. Wind and solar were nothing. They produced zero, just about. They barely worked.
The most important part of this figure is the natural gas line. Plant after plant went offline to the tune of 15,000 megawatts of capacity within the span of 8 hours. All the details are still coming out about what really happened, but there was a lot that we know went wrong. Natural gas wells and pipelines are particularly vulnerable to cold temperatures. Not only does a gas stream contain water vapor that can freeze by itself, that water vapor can also combine with hydrocarbons to create hydrates that solidify at temperatures well above freezing. Combine this with the fact that many roads were completely impassable during the storm, it was nearly impossible for some gas suppliers to keep things flowing. That despite the fact that the wholesale price of natural gas during the storm skyrocketed to more than $100.
Look at that. Almost $250 per millimeter of BTU. That's crazy. That's just 100 times the price for like almost a week, the 13th through the 16th.
Did they make him pay those bills, Tommy?
Due to the incredible demand.
I haven't heard.
Competing with residential homes.
I haven't heard. I know a lot of people got some huge bills and they were sure protesting. I haven't heard anything about how they resolved that. But there were
it was like more than their mortgage payment.
Yeah, there were businesses that got $10,000, $15,000 bills. It was crazy. It was just nuts.
Use gas for heat. At that price, suppliers were doing essentially everything in their power to deliver gas to customers, but it just wasn't enough. Or in some cases, it was enough, but the generators couldn't afford to operate their plants with such a high cost for fuel. But it wasn't just gas power plants that struggled. And it wasn't just about fuel. Wind turbines were shut down due to icing. Solar panels were covered in snow. One of the few nuclear units in Texas tripped offline because of cold weather issues with its water supply. Basically, the entire system was ill prepared for a storm of this magnitude. Texas does have a few connections to other power grids to help alleviate supply problems during emergencies. But those grids were suffering under similar conditions without much extra electricity to spare. This graph shows the total outages during the event. With that huge spike of generators going offline the morning after Valentine's Day, the state had nearly half its total capacity gone during one of the highest periods of electrical demand on record. Without any remaining reserve of resources, ERCOT had only one option left to keep supply and demand in sync: shed load. This is the technical term for what is essentially turning off parts of the power grid, in other words, disconnecting customers to reduce total demands on the system. Here's a simplified version of how this works. ERCOT tells the transmission operators they need to take X megawatts off the grid. Those megawatts are distributed roughly evenly between the operators you may have heard of, like Encore.
Now check this out. This is all it takes right here, these two little arms that connect to take this whole station offline. 3 deals here, 1, 2, 3 of them. And they separate and no more power. They break the cycle. It's crazy. I never knew this. I never knew exactly how they did take a power station off, but there it is.
Center point, CPS Energy, Austin Energy, etc., based on their share of total load.
That was taking it offline?
Shed load with
Yep, that's all it takes to take that
They
grid
just
off.
move the arms out, and that's it. They're offline.
That's it. Done. Pretty simple, huh?
system when required. It's not something they decide on the fly. Certain circuits critical to public health and safety, like hospitals, are prioritized. The other non-critical circuits are usually shut off in a rolling manner at 15 to 30-minute intervals.
Now, when Alan was out there with us during this storm, they did that. We had the rolling blackouts that they did to us, and they were 5 to 6 hours at a time. But I was telling Alan when all this was going on, it wasn't the grid's fault. It was just the running of our grid and the way it was set up over the last 30, 40 years, that they were telling people, you got to shut things offline because we have too much demand. Instead of bringing more online, they take things offline. And it was crazy. And he doesn't really hit on it in here, but he talks about how the U.S. Department of Energy told us no, we couldn't take our power plants above environmental standards for the week. We couldn't run them past what the EPA has deemed their environmental standard. You go above that, you're too many emissions. They wouldn't let us. The government wouldn't let us pump up power. So we had to start shutting shit down. or the whole thing was going to go down. And that's crazy. That's just, wow. I can't believe that. And just somebody flicks a switch and those little arms separate. No more power.
Right. And I think about, the electromagnetic grid line, and that's what they're working off of, and that opening up, either when it opens up, it widens the line of the grid, or it closes.
It breaks the connection.
I think when it's closed, it's pulling energy from the one to the other, because there was 3 of them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It does. When the grid is connected and those contacts are made, it's a 60 hertz cycle that connects. Think about that. A 60 hertz cycle that connects all the power grids. And when that cycle starts dropping down below 60 hertz, shit starts dropping offline because the magnetic field starts dropping on the generators and they get hot and they have to shut off. That's crazy. I never really understood that till I watched that stuff. And that's crazy to me.
How's the weather where you are, Ashley?
And the guy never.
Oh, sorry, Tommy.
Go ahead, Al.
I was just wondering, because right now we're in the middle of it seems like where we are in Texas is like a nice part of the spring or fall. And the rest of the country is just getting either they're freezing below zero or those California fires In Colorado, a whole town of 600 houses got burned down last night. All over our country, it's like extreme weather. But
Yeah.
here we sit, you know, the power where Tommy lives in this little Simon Estates, we were shut down all the time this summer, a
When we
couple
first
times a
got here,
month.
it was
But
crazy.
now it can survive almost any storm. They
I know
fixed
it.
it, you know. He's got
It
a
was crazy.
redundant place now.
Yeah, when we first got out here, this grid, we were looking around at each other going, are we in the most fragile part of the grid? Because, man, it didn't take nothing. And we were out of power here.
And always the last one to go back on.
Yeah.
What kind of storms were y'all getting to
Just
cause your
regular
power?
storms. I mean, there wasn't any too bad. We had a couple
Rain
pretty
and
good
wind.
storms, but
They would shut it down, Ashley, with rolling blackouts.
yeah,
We were
Yeah.
getting rolling blacked out.
yeah, sunny
But
days.
see, they control that. See, there's a psyop there, man. There's something there because you know. And then what did they say the day after Valentine's Day? I mean, Valentine's Day is one of their most highly sacrificial days. You know, the night before and maybe the night after. I don't know much about it. You know, that's one of the very few holidays that I've researched in. But dude, it is a highly sacrificial day. And the day after, then all of a sudden, the one thing that they have such an obsession with is technology. And all of a sudden, y'all are getting these blackouts in a certain part of the earth. What technology was being ran there, you know, with the buildings and stuff? Do y'all have a collider there? Because I know that there's a lot of colliders. And I know that when they're working with the collider here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, man, we get some crazy stuff that happens here, you know, with weather and stuff. And floods. We get a lot of floods with when they're doing stuff. It's crazy. It is. But right. We are experiencing lovely weather, and we did not experience blackouts. That is just very odd with the blackout thing.
But y'all are I think low enough like us across the southern part of the states. It's not too bad. But let me pull up this guy's website. He always shows the wind pattern stuff on online from the weather service deal, and he's always got the weather and the winds, and he was showing over the last week that these winds over the western part of the U.S. were just crazy. He goes over it. He goes over it at the first of these videos each time. And watch this.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Starting this video off in Montgomery, Alabama. This is a clip from a news segment sent in by Tiffany S. And the gentleman standing here looking at this live cam. It was early in the morning, and something weird flew in front of the camera, not only once, but twice. I'm going to share the segment that was sent in by, once again, Tiffany S. out of Montgomery, Alabama.
Well, here's Auburn University at Montgomery. Thick canopy of fog.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Weird, wasn't it? Was that a bird or bugs? I'm not sure what that was. I may have to go back and watch the tape on that.
There it goes again.
Right there again.
Yeah.
Pretty weird.
Even the weatherman said that was pretty wild, pretty weird. You saw something go from lower left.
Yeah, let's get to these winds.
That's weird.
He goes over the stuff. See what's happening there.
About this large storm, primarily wind, a couple days ago, big wind event, and that storm is moving across the.
See, we're right down here. And Tennessee, y'all are right down here, right? And
Yeah.
so that's going pretty much right over the top of us.
Plains right now as I do this video, bringing snow, wind, and rain to parts of Illinois and the upper Midwest. There were some power outages reported.
I want to go back just a hair. I noticed something on this that looked crazy. Look at this right along the Rocky Mountains and this huge void. That's just weird looking.
Tommy, that's what they were saying with Colorado. They just had 100-mile-an-hour winds feeding fires that burned down
Yeah,
the town.
that's what I'm gonna get to here. He gets to those wind currents.
And then in a couple of days, it's supposed to snow. So right after the fire, it's going to go boom, right down to 20 degrees.
Dude.
Yeah, he gets into those winds right here. Where is it? Well, he didn't do the winds. Where are they? Oh, this is the, what was this one he was talking about? Oh, the weather prediction stuff. But he usually always does. He's got those winds, and he's been showing over the Rockies and stuff 80, 90 mile an hour winds. This is a Schumann resonance.
See a lot of steady background noise in the Schumann over the last several days.
So, yeah, the winds, he's been watching these for the last week or two and talking about how, especially in Colorado, how the winds have been hitting 90, 100 miles an hour all through Colorado. And it's been going on for almost 2 weeks. They've had those high winds.
I really feel that there's something coming. This is going to be
I showed on one of my
day.
videos, I showed his where he had showed in Ruidoso. My parents had been up in Ruidoso, and that day he was showing that they were having 80 mile an hour winds in Ruidoso, where my parents were.
Yeah.
And it's, I've been up there, man, and in those mountain canyons and stuff, and the wind's blowing like that, whoa, it gets crazy. It's like mini tornadoes down through those valleys.
Right. We've noticed here that, I mean, they'll spray the skies, be like a flipping checkerboard up there. And for the next 3 days, we're going to have some heavy rain and wind. And it gets pretty rough. But not, I mean, nothing we ain't used to. It does. It's definitely, you can tell when it's going to rain just by how they spray the sky.
Oh, sure.
It's going to rain for you today, I think.
It is. It's already doing it. I don't like the rain. It makes you hurt. We live in a bowl. Tennessee apparently is in a bowl pretty much. But I think that Tennesseans are highly sorcerized because of Oak Ridge. We're experimenting on, in this little place. Everybody hurts and everybody's got sinus problems, and I mean, and it's all year round pretty much, dry skins, and it's pretty bad teeth, and it also has a lot to do with what we eat, but we're fed a lot of junk down here. Apparently, like in, from where Massachusetts and stuff, where Jason's from, they have really good foods there. Here, we don't have that. We've just got the basics that you get from the grocery store. You don't even buy them from farmers anymore. All the farmland's getting bought up here. But Nashville has taken on Silicon Valley. And so all the Californians are moving to the Tennessee area. And for some reason, they're buying over in McMinnville a lot, which is a lot of land that's just like, oh my goodness, just gorgeous land. But they're buying a lot of it up. And but Silicon Valley has moved to Nashville, and it moved to Nashville around the same time that AT&T building blew up. So whatever they do here.
Wait a minute. They can't be moving to Nashville. They're moving to Texas.
Apparently. Well, oh my goodness.
Man. San Antonio.
So I guess their corporation is putting its feelers out. It's establishing itself. So they're moving to Texas too, huh?
Oh my God. Texas is #1 in the world in blockchain. They're pushing out the blockchain stuff faster than anybody. It's all happening here in Texas.
Elon Musk built the largest factory in the world.
Everybody's moving here.
Elon Musk is building his spaceships here. I don't believe in that, but he says it's the largest factory in the world.
He's doing his cars
Austin
too.
is the new Hollywood.
Yeah, but he's doing his cars.
If you live near Oak Ridge, do you know where Tellico Village is?
No, I don't live near Oak Ridge. I just know of, I know a lot of Oak Ridge, but I don't live near it. It's more, heck, I think it's like 2 hours away from me, 2 or 3 hours maybe. No, that part of Tennessee, I don't know much about. I know more Middle and West Tennessee than I do any of it.
Yeah, it's near Knoxville. I went to, there was a World's Fair in Knoxville in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was stupid. Totally
really
stupid.
It was followed by the stupidest one of all in New Orleans in 1984. New Orleans had a World's Fair in 84 during the 84 Olympics, and nobody came.
Right.
And nobody came. It was sad. I watched the whole deal about the World's Fairs, and now they call them the World Expos, and they spun it to the U.S. quit doing them because we didn't want other countries knowing our technology. And so we just started setting up little deals with all of our corporate sponsors and a video from our president going, America loves you.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. Okay. If we didn't know, if I see, my personal opinion is when it comes to technology, they're all in the same bed. It's not that they don't want the other nation, like Elon Musk saying that he's building spaceships up in this big corporation that he's got built. Well, no, he's building something for the mind control of the people. Artificial intelligence for the machine taking over. That's what they're building. But the thing is I started noticing. Yeah, I started noticing that these scientists, it don't matter if you're in CERN, Switzerland. It don't matter if you're in France building the artificial sun, the tokamak. It don't matter if you're over here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, or in Texas. All the scientists, they're all from different languages. Every one of them, Chinese, Japanese. Look at these dirty knees. I mean, they're Americans, Europeans. They're everybody. They're all nations fund these corporations, these technology corporations. I believe that they have been together. Remember, it's Revelation chapter 19 where it said that all come together. The kings came together and they gave their nation. All nations gave their nation to the beast, right? So they all got in one bed with one another. Here they are, the freaking Freemason Brotherhood, the biggest MK Ultra mind project we've ever seen in our life, going on with this technology. And the main obsession with the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, but the Rothschilds mainly, is their main obsession is technology. The sound hurts. They fund these corporations, these scientists, and it's all about sound waves, light waves. They're coming against the mind. We've got ones that are conspiring to bring us down, to remove the remembrance of Israel from us, to remove us completely away. So, and the word of God says that they're conspiring against us. So we got all this technology. Satan been here a while, and he's been working with this technology, and he's been learning a lot about us. And now, with what these people do with the MK Ultra projects and the things that they use food, they use sound, they use light. I mean, and what you go to a concert, what have you got? You got lights, sound, food everywhere. Symbols. It's something about it, it's the constant brain mind control, changing the frequency in our body. It's made of water.
Oh, sure. Well, that goes with my opinion that when the devil was loose, that was what he did. He took over all of the kingdoms and took all the technologies, and he's dictated the technology rollouts ever since. And every time it's not been for our benefit, it's been for their control. And we take it like, thank y'all. Wow, this is great. Radio, TV, cool. Thank you. This is great.
It's magic.
They tell us right off the bat, we're going to program you. We're going to program you. We're going to give you programming, and you're going to enjoy the programming. And we're going to tell you daily which programming is the best, and you're going to automatically gravitate to it because you trust us. And we went with that.
Right. And the word of God talks over and over. You know, Randy just brought up the perfect word, that one word that I hear people say, even their youngins, magic. Oh, it's magic. It's magic. And I'm like, no magic, you know, and it's like an automatic for me, you know, luck is a false god. If somebody says luck, I say luck is a false god. And now it's been over and over. I've caught myself in the past month saying no magic. Like freaking, I can't even count. I can't count how many times. I really can't tell you, because I hear it constantly. It's magic. The word of God speaks against magic. And you know, the word entertainment, it means craft. It literally means craft, the etymology of it. And then we have the Freemason Brotherhood, and their brotherhood is called the craft. And everything in the social media, anything in social media that's music or television, their newspapers, any of it, for or sports games, all of it, right? It's entertainment and it's a craft. And the Freemasons, they got their symbols absolutely everywhere in it, you know? It's flipping nuts how what has been allowed in. You know, and we were raised, this is okay. Hey, my name's Ashley, and I even taught my own children some of this stuff, and I've repented of it, you know?
Oh yeah, we're certainly programmed. I take some responsibility, but not all, until I learned, and now I take all responsibility, because if you know and you go with the flow, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Let's switch subjects real quick. I wanted to hit on this before we get off. Alan and I have been watching the Andrew Cuomo testimony over from back in July, when they first pulled him in to get his deposition. And this is before, right? He thinks anybody knows much of anything. Well, what we now know, and watching that testimony, that dude, oh man, he lied about so much. Oh my God. And like I told Alan, after watching that, the picture I got of government, his government especially, was I will, don't worry about it. But his idea of governing is totally detached. They ask him about stuff he signed. Well, it was either auto pen or my assistant would sign it. And they're like, you didn't sign very much? And he's like, oh yeah, no, not very much. You know, we're just so busy. You know, everything's just so busy. And they start going, well, what is this person's relationship? Well, they work for da 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 da. And he just starts explaining. It's so layered in government, you know. And he talks about how, oh yeah, memos are tossed around in a washer laundry like cycle, and eventually I'll get the final memo, so I don't pay attention to that stuff. You know, well, do you read?
Fascinating. It's fascinating to watch him lie so much. And Ashley, he did it all just because he fell in love with a 22-year-old girl, and he was convinced that they were going to fall in love and make it, and it all unwound around his head. And in the meantime, he had imported ventilators. He's responsible for, what was it? Did you say 40,000 deaths or something?
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm.
It's like, but the only thing he had on his mind full time was
chasing that girl.
Yeah, have the girl work out so she'd be in better shape when they finally consummate, and he'd work out because it was all going to be great. And then he just defends, thinking that somehow he's going to get off.
Well,
this whole world's a temple about the pop.
Yeah, well, he had a great part in there where he plays the savior role. I wanted to help her. I wanted to be there for her. I didn't want to just throw her away. She was important enough as a human, you know, that she deserved someone to care about her. And early in the question, they go, have you ever touched a woman on her backside, on her butt? No. Well, later on in the question, they go, well, when it comes to Miss So-and-so, did you ever touch her on the butt? It's possible, maybe during a picture, accidentally, maybe, but I can't remember. I can't remember. And and they're asking him, "Did you talk about this with anybody? Did you?" And they come straight out and say, "Did you get other sources to investigate this body or any other body?" No, 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 no. Did you get anybody to investigate the victims? Anything like that? He's like, well, no. Well, we now know his brother Chris was doing all the research for him, trying to find all the dirt on these women. And he sits right there in front of them, and they know he's doing this, and they just ask him. And he got so defiant with them, he started accusing this guy that's questioning, "You've been investigating me for 6 years. You've always had it in for me. Yeah, I knew when they put you on as this independent counsel that I had no chance. I was never going to get a fair shake." And that guy just goes, "I don't care what you think about that. I'm just asking you questions. That's all I'm doing." And he says, "Yeah, well, we know why you're here." And it's all about you trying to get me. I didn't do anything wrong. And he lays out how they've been trying to set him up forever. And he's pretty sharp to things, and he knows when people are trying to set him up. So he knows what's going on here. He basically just told them, "Y'all are just screwing with me."
Well,
but if you want to see something funny and get a big picture of how government is so ineffective, and it's like a junior high, that this lines it up. Well, Kathy, she's not going to die. He's freaking on feeding the dog. She'll eat. But when you watch this, just all the questions he's asking, when he describes how his day goes and the things he does and who does what and who's in touch with who and how communications work, it's just a mess. Half the time, he had no idea what was going on. They're asking him about who goes on the governor's transport, right? Who rides with him, who flies with him, who don't. Well, I don't have any idea about that. Somebody else arranges that. That's a security thing. And so I have no idea who's going to ride with me. And it's just like, whatever you're going. I want her this time in the helicopter, please. Yeah.
Actually, he has young girls, deliver PowerPoints to him.
Right. That was so funny.
Cool.
On a weekend, he has this girl bring a PowerPoint to the mansion, and he's in the pool house, and they start talking about her rape. She's a rape victim, and he just tries to give fatherly advice. It's so sick. You can see the picture. You can see what's going on. And he's like, I was just there now.
If you look at
it, is grooming every single person. That's their full-time job, is to try to groom people to rape them.
And he brings that up later. He says, y'all are making it sound like there's some grooming process going on here. And that's not it. And they asked him, and I hollered at Alan when he said it. I said, they have a draft. They have a draft. Because he starts describing, he's telling this girl to befriend this other group of younger people that are in basically a lower level intern, first person on the scene, first time ever in political scene level. And they kind of hang together, and that's where they draft from. That's where they cut from the herd. They send their people down. Okay, let's have one of those now. And he described girls they sent over to the mansion on weekends, as some of them were better at typing and dictation than others. And this one girl, there was times she would get really nervous because she wanted to do a good job, but she got really nervous. And I'm like, she was scared to death you were going to rape her, is why she couldn't do her dictation. That's why she couldn't do her typing. And he's like, he's putting it in this whole priority thing. Well, there are times when I need the best there, and that's these two. But otherwise, I tell them, send somebody else. Oh, it's your weekend. And they would send someone, and some were good, some were bad. And I'm just going, oh, man, these people are sick. They are sick.
They are. You
They
know,
want us to believe.
sex magic is a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
And they know how to use it. They know what to do. And I believe every one of these were, you know, the man you're talking about, he was probably involved in it as a child because they're
Well,
taught that, you know, they're
his
taught
dad
that.
was a governor, right? So they've been in this game for their whole lives. So they understand they're the elite and they do play by a different set of rules, and they'll be fine. He'll be just fine.
Like Gavin Newsom and Jerry Brown, their
Right.
fathers were both governors, and now
Yeah.
they kind of like take turns being governor of California. They are in power. They're going to stay in power. And, you know, this is not our home. You know,
That's right.
there are only two citizenships, one in the world and one not of this world.
Yeah, Jason always says there's two kingdoms, the Lord's kingdom and Satan's kingdom. No other, there's only two kingdoms.
You pick.
And just like
Good and
what you
there's
just
evil.
said,
I showed Alan a little clip yesterday of these two black kids. They're probably in their 20s, and they're railing about white people and how we owe and how it's our fault. And this black dude just looks at him and goes, "What do you want from them? What do you want from white people?" And they just sit there and stared at him. And he's like, "Seriously, you're so
that's a
upset."
great question.
Yeah. And they both are like, "Well, you're black, you know, you should be on our side." And he's like, "No, see, I don't do that. I look at good and I look at evil. And I see you people, and that's evil. I don't do that. You know, I just choose not to be that way." And these young people are like, "Well, you know, white people, they have all the privilege." And he's like, "Well, what do you want from them?
Like,
What do you want them to do?" You know? And they basically, you know, they all just give us stuff. Just give us stuff, get out of our way, let us do what we want. And when we need more, you give us more. And just leave us alone. And don't question what we do with our lives and our money and our families. Don't question that. Just give to us. You know, make our path easy. We've been victims.
My position is that my grandfather possibly got some privileges, but right now, white America doesn't have any money. Everybody's living paycheck to paycheck. When we saw our grandparents and parents, some of them putting on bumper stickers that says "I'm spending my children's inheritance."
Yeah.
That's the same generation that okayed abortion. So I got no love for that generation. And what the blacks need to understand is that, yeah, if we could, we'd help you out, but we don't got no money. We don't have no more tax money to give out reparations. Sorry, we broke all your treaties and didn't let you vote till 1964. We really are, but we don't got the money to bail you out and make everything okay in this world.
Like
and besides that, there's other countries like in Africa where the white people are suffering like the black people suffer here. So it is not a white problem. It is a sin problem with every single race. And to say anecdotal evidence, let's just take America. You guys were bad for that. You know, we were the bad guys for a while. But in other countries, it's not like just forget what the other countries did. In other countries, there were black guys that they were the bad guys and they killed the white guys. And in Spain, I mean, Queen Isabella. I mean, what race would want to pick her? Is she black? Is she white? I mean, nobody wants her. I wouldn't want her. I mean, she was a butcher. So that's my position.
See, you act like that's something bad.
There's a lot of bad out there. What bad are we talking about?
Well, you act like she wasn't justified in those things. She was the queen, you know.
Well, and whatever Columbus had to do to bring her back some different types of pepper and Himalayan salt, I guess it was okay.
You know, if you're going to be a good subject, you will.
Plus, she wanted her money. She invested in it. She wanted some profit.
Well, or she was just another one of the Knights of Satan and doing her job.
Oh.
Doing her
job. I like to think of Ferdinand and Isabella as Ahab and Queen Jezebella instead of Isabella.
Isabella, Queen Jezebella. Yeah, boom.
Right.
Boom.
Right. Those people are,
No,
and
man.
we don't know
But
this,
the
but
one girl that was talking about he said something about the race, and that girl just stood there and stared at him for like 15 seconds. It was something about being Japanese or something.
oh, well, I'm going to look into that 60 hertz thing with the power
Yeah.
grid
Yeah, that's a
because
great
it
idea.
just works on frequency. He never once said you have to have X amount of voltage going through the line or X amount of amp load going through the line or X amount of wattages going through the line. He said if the frequency gets below 60 hertz, it said nothing about any of the other electrical measurements, only the cycles. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I thought it was all about volts and watts and amp load. And amp load was the big part, how much amp draw is on the system. And now I find out it's just about the frequency. If you keep the frequency right, the power flows. You lose the frequency, you lose the power. That's crazy. I never realized that.
Where did you hear that?
That was on that guy's deal, that engineering deal.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the frequency. He said not one word about when you drop your kilowatts or you drop your voltage or any of that. He says if you start losing that frequency, it drops below 60 hertz. The magnetic field on those generators starts getting weak and
Overheat. That was it.
so they drop out. When that cycle gets low, it's not the input of voltage or the output of amp load, it's the frequency.
Before I came down here, when I was seeing if you were going to go live, one of the videos that popped up, and I didn't have time to see it, was how to boil water with magnets.
Oh yeah, bro.
So I'm going to be checking that one out too.
That would be amazing. Oh, that'd be awesome. For sure. There was a guy that I think he was from Germany, and he was boiling water with sound, I believe it was. Yeah, he took a metal ball and put it in the water, and the sound, I guess you don't hear the sound, but it makes a sound, a frequency, and boom, boiled the water.
Well, think about it. That's all a microwave does is just heat up the water molecules with frequency. And that's if you have a resource that'll receive it and then emit, from it, you can boil water. I see that easy. It's just a frequency. And if you know that frequency, you can, like I said, I think that was one of the secrets of Solomon is he understood frequency and he can manipulate everything with frequency.
Right. No doubt, bro. No doubt on
that. I'm thinking every level, every 0.1 of frequency, he understood and could just manipulate everything.
I know that Solomon made choirs of, mixed choirs, men and boys, but then he had choirs of boys, choirs of girls, and then, specialized choirs. So he was probably wanting to, hear everything in different ranges.
Right. Every frequency, every perfect tone.
Right. Yeah, that peculiar treasure. Right. He musical instruments, sons and daughters as musical instruments, peculiar treasures, and man, a treasure. We are a musical instrument, that's interesting, Alan. I like that. With thinking about the different tones, learning them, listening to them.
Yeah, understanding how to generate them and how to control them.
How to manage those gifts, because they are gifts from God, and there has to be a way, since God said, bring me these talented people. And there's portions in the scripture in First Kings, it's like, wait, the Levites weren't paying the singers, so they had to grow food. And when Nehemiah got back, he was furious about that. He goes like, pay them their money, because it's part of the worship.
Right.
It was
right. People understood that they were a musical instrument. You're right. It was. I don't know what army it is that took down the singers. I don't know I can't remember what book it is in the Old Testament, but the Lord sent a whole, slew of singers in front of an army.
We're talking about the walls of Jericho.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Where he took the singers and put them in the front line?
That was trumpets at Jericho, Jason. I think she might be thinking of the Judges, Book of Judges, and Jehoshaphat.
Right, where he sent the choir, the people, the singers.
Right. I think that's the one that you're thinking about.
Yeah.
But equally to the other point of Jericho, I mean, there you go. I mean, what frequency, man? Shouting, trumpets, marching, and deep bass, I guess, would be
a weapon of its time, a direct energy weapon of its time.
Right. Which they're using today, just in a different way. Like, man, there's so much about frequency, that is good, that is of the Lord, and can be used in such a mighty way.
Right. That's why I just feel like after watching Fat Kenny, with his electromagnetism and dielectricity and the ether, and then seeing electricity deal 60 hertz and just starting to understand more about magnets and frequency. Wow.
Tommy, I just thought of when I was mentioning Jericho. Could you imagine a 70,000, like, let's just say they were bigger than us, like almost giant-like, blowing the big size trumpets that you see? I mean, that would be deafening.
Oh yeah, imagine that.
Because they got bigger lungs, I think, and if they all lay on it at the same time.
Right. But think about, along with that, the stomping of their feet.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. Just a constant boom. You about to go do
movement. Yes, that movement is powerful.
Kathy, why be the boss if you can't even get a day off before a holiday?
No, check my accounts.
Alan being
yeah, he's here.
Yeah. Tommy being a good husband.
Yeah, trying.
Tommy's the best. And
I got you disagree with that.
What?
I'm the best. The best at what?
Well, to be Jason always says the only reason I'm good is because I got a good woman behind me. So
right.
Sucking up all my bandwidth.
Oh, are we sucking up all your bandwidth? You can't get online, dear, on your phone? I'm sorry. Have a great day. You gonna get out of there early, any chance?
Because I've got to go get groceries.
Okay.
The lady.
Okay. All right. Love you, dear.
Make a list.
Yes, dear. I'll make a list.
Diesel and 7 are in my bed.
Okay. All right. Back to frequency. But since starting this whole journey, man, everything keeps leading, to frequency. I don't care what it is, whether it's the tech, whether it's human interactions or nature, any of it. It all has frequency. And you can manipulate those frequencies to change nature, to change people, to change physical structure. It does it all. It does it all.
Can I ask a question?
What?
What about, like, now those Tacoma Narrows Bridge and stuff, like the frequency brings them down. Now they're at a frequency, then the wind adds to it and it changes the frequency and makes it start to wobble. That's what, but everything is always at a frequency.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything.
Yeah, they say, I was reading the other day that the Earth is like the frequency of the Earth is like 7.8 or
7.38 hertz, I believe.
Boom, you got it, brother. You got it.
Yeah. And our bodies are the same.
Have you seen, there's a video that I watched a long time ago. This guy had he had a little speaker, a tiny speaker mounted on the bottom, and then he had a plexiglass ceiling, and so he was sending a frequency through the speaker, and then it was bouncing off the ceiling and coming back, the plexiglass ceiling and coming back, And then he was able to take these little, they look like little styrofoam balls, and he was able to place them within the bands of the frequency, and they were actually suspended in air
On the frequency,
right, in the frequency, and but in midair.
yeah.
And then he was able to show, I forgot how he did it, whether he did it with smoke or I forgot what he did it with, but he was able to make it visual, like you could actually see the lines
The
in
somatic
the
pattern.
smoke. Yeah. And it really reminded me a lot of when we get those we used to, we don't see it as often anymore, but I remember as a child, you would look up in the sky and the clouds would be lined up. You would have a line and then an empty space and then a line and then an empty space, and the clouds looked exactly like what this guy was showing. And and I just had the thought, was the frequency of the earth bouncing off the firmament and then creating these clouds in these line formations,
Right.
you
Right.
know
And now that we
some,
know that it's a toroidal field, we're a toroidal field, everything has a toroidal field, that frequency and the smoke looking that way in the clouds, that I understand it now. That's what it is. It's our electromagnetic fields. It's our frequency.
yeah, some people chalk it up to HARP, and that's why the clouds look that way. But I don't know. I was a child, so
Sure.
we're talking, maybe
Yeah,
8 years old. So that would be 8 years old. That would be like 1979.
Right.
I remember in the 60s when when I first learned about cirrus and cumulus clouds, and there were 3 other, types. There were only 5 types of clouds back then.
Right.
And cirrus and cumulus, the types you're describing, they don't exist anymore. They're off.
No.
They are off the chart.
Right. And it's obvious. It's obvious because of all the, now we're swimming in frequency. We're swimming in gosh darn it, I can't. Why can't I think of the word? All the
bandwidth. Sure.
Right, the bandwidths from
They're everywhere.
the towers, cell phone towers, and all that stuff. Yeah.
I wish one of these really smart people that are really good with computers would put out like a simulation of just our air, how many frequencies are going through it, and color code them, right? Like by bandwidth, color code them, and give us an idea of how much frequency we're just surrounded by.
Let everybody imagine what he's saying is that, and then have them labeled like your AM transmitter tower, where it goes, your FM, your shortwaves, they're all active at all times. And remember, when you go in your house, you can still hear the radio because those waves are going right through the walls unless it's lead. And those same walls are going all through you. So instead of it, going to, showing how the waves reach your radio, show how it's going through us. And how many what are you thinking, Tommy? How many are we looking at?
Hundreds. Yeah, I know. I've looked up the different cell towers when I was out there in Merkel, and you can look them up and they tell you who all is using that cell tower. And on every one of them, there were at least 30 different companies that were using a signal off of that cell tower. And it's, private communications between big companies, their truck drivers and their base, whether it's that or cell companies or whatever. There's like 50 per, and they changed the rules where they could only use a certain part of the spectrum for communications. And under Obama, they opened it up and said, you can use any of them. Well, those are the weaponized ones that were outside of what we'd used before. And they opened it up to let any company, they just have to call the FCC and go, hey, we want to submit for, this frequency for our company. And they go, okay, pay your fee and you can have that frequency. And it's just free for all now. It's a free for all. They used to keep it under that danger zone of frequency, but they opened it up. They opened it up, and they say we regulate it. Well, it's like 5G. We're going to regulate it until you want to turn it up a little more, and make
Right.
it on that spectrum of a weapon. I mean, there's that.
Well, and also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm seeing in social media, a lot of people are complaining about an interrupted sleep cycle. Like they're not sleeping through the night anymore.
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of folks complaining about that, and I was wondering, wouldn't it be interesting? I've always wanted to conduct this little experiment. I don't know why I haven't done it really. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be interesting to set up a little tent in like, in your house somewhere, and line the tent with aluminum foil, the whole thing, and create kind of a Faraday chamber. And the way you could test this to see if it's actually working is bring your cell phone in there with you. And if you're not receiving a signal, then it's working.
Sure.
And sleep in it for the night, and see if you actually get a full night's sleep.
Right.
Uninterrupted.
Well, you can do that they make a paint. There's a guy who makes a paint that you can paint your walls, and it blocks frequency from coming in.
Oh,
yeah. They started out making like a plywood that you put up, and then they perfected the formula, and they got it into a paint, and it's black, and you can paint your walls, and it'll stop frequency from coming in.
Well, effectively, isn't that? I mean, people used to paint the outside of their houses with lead paint.
That's exactly what I was just going to bring up, Jason. Is that why did they ban lead paint? There weren't poor people eating paint.
Right.
They needed to get those frequencies in their television into the houses.
Right. And
I was going to say that too. I mean, you might as well. I mean, if you're out there eating lead paint, then you probably
you deserve the side effects.
Excluded from the chain.
Well, maybe if you eat the second piece of lead paint. But
that I always thought.
Here's the thing, though. They used to add lead to wine to make it taste sweeter.
Well, but they had lead in everything: gasoline, paint, everything. It was there for a reason. It worked well. But I just can't imagine enough people, like y'all said. I never knew anybody that ate paint chips.
No, not a one.
But that story, they acted like it was an epidemic.
Yeah.
Right.
Kids getting sick and dying all over. We got to stop this now. And it was like, what?
It was a pandemic.
Right. But you got to think that there was a planning phase in that, hey, if we're going to get these frequencies to people, we got to cut out this lead.
Right. Just like the hippies were the ones to fight fluoride,
Right.
And the older group had to be brought along kicking and screaming. Well, okay, if you've got the science.
If it's for your teeth, it's worth it. If it's for your teeth.
That doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Because
I remember I was trying to purchase a house in Massachusetts. The house was built in the 1700s. And we couldn't purchase it because the whole house was painted in the exterior with lead paint. And
your broker wouldn't let you buy it, right?
Right. They said that the paint had to be removed before the house could be sold.
Yeah, they wouldn't loan you the money until it was made right.
Right.
Yep. And that's their deal, man. They control everything. You can't even throw your hands up and go, look, I'll take the risk. Okay. I'll take the risk.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I'm taking all the liability on me. I'm not going to ever come back at you going, hey, you poisoned me. No, I won't do that. Let's just go. They won't let you do that.
That was that was their insurance emergency scam, followed up by the next one was the asbestos hoax.
I know.
Right.
That's what I was gonna bring up, man, because I just swam in a asbestos with my dad in 2 houses that we had to take some stuff down. You know, the ceiling in one and some of the floor stuff in another, and it was covered in asbestos. I went out here and burned it in my burn pile because I didn't have the way to get it to the daggum dump. You know, because I was told that if I took it to the dump, that they wouldn't want it in the first place.
She's got a little tick in her neck now, but I think she's all right. No,
she's gonna be okay.
Right. I just thought I didn't see it didn't hurt me at all. I was careful, of course, because I was told, but it didn't hurt me, and I burnt that stuff and was right there by the fire pit, you know, breathing it in. I just don't.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and it's such a scam, guys, because I used to be a flooring contractor, sand and finish and installations, and this person was turning an old warehouse into their home, and the under the wood floors they had a asbestos underlayment, and we had to take out, like, man, we just had to replace a couple of boards, seriously, like not even like 5 square feet of flooring, and OSHA came in and told us that we had the plastic off, we had to make a bubble around this thing. We had to have we had to have our asbestos removal license to do it. Oh, it was insane. I mean, we did it, but I mean, the charge to the customer was exponentially higher, just for a little 5x5
covered by insurance.
Yeah,
covered by insurance.
Such a racket, man.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad worked on chill water systems, and you had to use asbestos insulation on the pipes. So we went in and had to do repairs. He had a 5-gallon bucket, and he had a bag full of asbestos dust, and he had the wrap, like cloth wrap, and he'd mix up his asbestos and he'd wrap the pipe and do the insulation, and it's all over him, and it's in the back of the truck. And that afternoon he'd drive around the neighborhood and pick up all the kids for football practice, and we'd all be sitting on the asbestos bucket, and the dust flying all around us, and nothing.
Do you have a couple of minutes for me to share an asbestos story?
Make it short. No, go
ahead. In 1988, I had gone full time at Christian Liberty Academy, the world's largest homeschool supplier. We had just moved from a church in Prospect Heights to Arlington Heights. And this is before I knew that the CIA and the John Birch Society were working together to prop up homeschooling, to make it so that everybody would learn how to read. The only people that would know phonics and learn how to read would be programmed with manifest destiny and a love for a constitutional, almost idealized. But to save the money, because the school that we bought, the year before we bought it for $1.5 million.
Hold on, one second. Save money. It's a Christian organization. Money means nothing, right? It's God.
That's right.
Huh?
Well, that's what we started out at. But once we grew into the largest thing and they were throwing money at us, we all became money grubbing whores.
What?
Back to the asbestos. So they put in $2 million of carpet. The next year, the plan is in. We're going to rail against, this is the early 80s. We're railing against public education, proving it's bad. Next thing you know, they passed the HERO laws that say everybody's got to remove their asbestos. Our school is full of it. We get the news that this laws, are coming. I personally and 2 other people remove all the asbestos from that building and throw it in the garbage and put in new insulation. And to this date, that's the only building in Illinois that has it, that didn't have to have it removed, because when they test it, they go like, oh, this doesn't have asbestos in it. but it had to have, and it did.
Right.
And so all this time, my wife and I argued because I was, we didn't have masks and suits and stuff. We just threw it away. So when I finally left after my vision and came out to Colorado to prove that the whole world has been terraformed, that rocks are body parts and Armageddon is over, I had to support myself for a little while until my wife caught me and my divorce came through and I got, a couple $100,000 for the house and stuff, whatnot, and to fund the first 5 years of the ministry. But I went to work to settle it in my mind, is asbestos bad or not? And I got a supervisor's license to abate asbestos in Colorado Springs. And since most of it being abated there was at the military bases, I progressed as a supervisor to where I actually went to NORAD. And if anybody doubts it, I've got the camera with the metadata right here, and I've got the pictures on file. I'll show at any time that I took of NORAD, because they said don't take no pictures, but guess who did?
See, now you've sunk yourself.
I don't care. I'll show pictures of Mohammed tonight too if they don't like that.
They're gonna come kicking in the door today.
Just a side note.
When they come for me, I don't want them to take you down.
Just a side note. I lived in Prospect Heights. I went to MacArthur Junior High there, and then I went to John Hersey High School in Arlington Heights.
Well, then you know that Christian Liberty Academy used to be the Arlington Heights Cardinals.
Oh no, I wouldn't know that. I wasn't into everybody. I was really into myself as a teenager.
Well, who wasn't?
Who was me? I was into the girls.
Oh, okay, well, okay, yeah.
You, Tommy. Touchdown, Tommy.
That's all I knew. That's all I knew. But it's a crazy time we live in, and we're learning so much about frequency and and nature and God's plan and its perfect system. And I truly believe the closer we get to it, the better off we're all going to be. When I learned about the food they've been feeding us with polymers in it and GMO and and the pharmaceuticals and our water and the sky, and oh man, they are just bombarding us, and they're not going to stop. We've got to, like we always say, Alan, we got to separate. We just got to separate. And, they call us granola munching hippies and weirdos, fine. But, man, I apologize to all the hippies growing up about you and your granola, man. I was wrong. I was wrong. I take it back. We owe those guys a big apology. That's why
Tommy's the best, man.
Oh, I'm a big apology.
Oh, my phone died.
Yep.
Gone.
Oh, phone dying. No, you're still there. We see you. It fell over.
We saw the sun come up. We saw your window go from dark to all of a sudden we could see it.
Boom. Yeah, we could see. But yeah, we gotta get on the right frequency, guys. Get on that narrow path. That's why it's so narrow, because it's a frequency. It's one frequency.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one.
Yeah, well, it's not a multiple band. It's a single bandwidth. It's one path. We're trying to cover all these different frequencies.
What they say in Terminator 15, if you hear me on this frequency, you are the resistance.
Right, you are the resistance. So, frequency, guys, good vibrations, discernment. I'm gonna wrap it up, and I may go play golf today. Everybody say a quick prayer. All right. Love you all. Take care.